Hi everybody, this is another question for I'm a Female Filmmaker, Ask Me Anything. The next question comes from Kylie and Stephanie. They ask, what is the most difficult task you've had to overcome as a filmmaker? As a female filmmaker. I'm trying not to read these questions and answer them ahead of time for myself. I did read them once over, but I haven't really thought all the answers through. I'm trying to get the sort of first impression answer back at you guys. So this one is sort of difficult for me to answer, I think. I do consider myself a female filmmaker. I also consider myself a filmmaker. The reason why I like to specify female is because there aren't a lot of us, and I think that that's a very special thing. And I think that we are growing in number, and we need to work together, and we need to be proud of that fact, period. The most difficult task I've had to overcome as a female filmmaker, really, truthfully, the thing is, I don't feel a lot of prejudice or stereotype directly. I just don't think that that is a conscious thing that people have. I think that there is a subconscious way of thinking where if somebody says the word director, most people automatically think of a male image. And I do as well a lot of times, unless I'm thinking about myself. And the reason I believe for that is that over the years and through history, statistically, directors have been male. So it's not unnatural, and there's absolutely, no one to blame for that. And rather than most difficult task, I guess the first thing that comes to mind is what's interesting about being a female filmmaker. Because there are probably things that I have had to overcome as a female that I might not even at first recognize that it's because I'm female. I think that everybody has sort of their own individual things they have to, quote unquote, fight in order to get what they want. And for me, that's a very individual experience, and it might be the same or different than any other female or male director, but it's my experience. So I really just equate it to that. What I find very interesting about being a female director is that because it is rare, the reaction that I get when I tell people that I am is much stronger than my male counterpart next to me who also says that he is. If I'm in New York or LA, it's very common to say I'm a filmmaker, as it is to be an actor or producer or something else. Like, there are a lot of creative people in those two cities, and there are a lot of filmmakers in those cities. But what is unusual is being a female and doing that. Directing has very small numbers with females in mainstream film. Right now it's at about 5%. And in independent film it's much higher. So that's really great. I think that's one reason why the number in mainstream film is actually going down over the years, the past couple of years, is because more females are going, oh, I can do this independently. I can be more like my own CEO, sort of a startup company, and do my films that way, start my own production company, etc., which is exactly what we're doing with X-Factor Filmmakers and Sweet Desert Palm. I tend to surround myself with females. I don't know if it's that I'm just naturally drawn to them. I mean, there's obviously many males in my life on a professional level because there are a lot of males in this world. But I do feel like I have a special connection with females when I find that we have similar professional sensibilities. If we are both female, then we also have a lot more in common, and it's just an emotional and social way of interacting that's different. So I think that that's very powerful to surround myself with that, because if we can relate more, there's less of a battle on that level. And there are also a lot of men that way that I relate to. But even just the way of interacting and talking is very different. I don't necessarily get as intimate or as detailed with the males as I do with females. And I think that that's very important when you are going you're embarking on making a movie, you're with each other so often, you have to make sure you like each other. I think knowing a lot about each other is really important in that respect as well. So, the most difficult task I've had to overcome as a female, maybe at first it was whether to identify myself as a female or a filmmaker. Because I never considered myself a feminist at a young age. I only sort of came into that in college when I realized that I was actually a minority in this case professionally. So becoming a feminist was literally a necessity and then became a passion over the years. So I think it was that identity sort of issue for a while. But there hasn't been like a specific moment where I've said, I didn't get that job because I was a female, etc. I think that's probably an assumption that you can't necessarily make. It may be true at some point, but it's not something to get hung up on. It doesn't help me. Here's the problem, and then why those problems are happening, and then there's the solution. And we're trying to take whatever we know about those two parts and create a solution for ourselves and for other females, and not harp on the problem at hand. Instead, just go, okay, great, then what's the best path for us? Cool. Thank you for the question. That was a hard one. So it's a long video. Thank you.